Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most emotionally charged and intense moments in The Bold and the Beautiful. This chapter is filled with shocking twists, heart-stopping drama, and emotional conflict that will leave you questioning the future of several major characters. So grab your popcorn, sit back, and let's explore what happened during this unforgettable fashion show at Forrester Creations. The scene is set at one of the most anticipated events of the year, the Forrester Creations fashion show. Ridge Forrester, the patriarch of the Forrester family, is standing at the podium, delivering a heartfelt and powerful speech about the legacy of Forrester Creations and its influence on the fashion industry. His words echo through the grand hall, and the guests in attendance can't help but hang on every word. But amidst the applause and admiration, there's a growing sense of unease, particularly from one person, Katie Logan. Katie, who has always been a part of the Forrester family, is in the crowd, watching Ridge's speech with a sense of discomfort. Her thoughts are interrupted by the nagging feeling that something is wrong. Katie can't help but notice that Brooke Logan, Ridge's ex-wife, is conspicuously absent from the event. Brooke had been expected to showcase one of her most dazzling creations during the fashion show, a dress that was not only beautiful but had been designed specifically to catch Ridge's attention. Katie wonders why Brooke is missing at such a critical moment when her grand plan was supposed to steal the spotlight. As the fashion show continues, Katie's unease grows. She wonders why Brooke isn't there to reveal her dress, especially when she knew this would be the perfect opportunity to make a bold statement to Ridge. What Katie doesn't know is that while the fashion show is in full swing, Brooke is in the dressing room, preparing herself for what she thought would be the highlight of the evening. Brooke, in her stunning new dress, looks at herself in the mirror, rehearsing what she plans to say to Ridge once she steps out onto the stage. Her goal is clear: she wants to remind Ridge of the connection they shared and reignite the spark of their romance. But as she stands there, a knock on the door interrupts her thoughts. It's Taylor Hayes, Ridge's current girlfriend, and her entrance sets the stage for a confrontation that no one saw coming. Taylor's demeanor is cold and determined as she enters the dressing room. She immediately shuts the door behind her with a loud slam, startling Brooke. The air between the two women grows thick with tension as Taylor insists on having a private conversation with Brooke. Brooke, who had been expecting a quiet moment of reflection before her grand entrance, is caught off guard. She tries to keep her composure, but she can sense that something is off. Taylor, without hesitation, informs Brooke that she cannot allow her to try and win back Ridge. Taylor is blunt and direct, telling Brooke that Ridge is now her man, and there is no room for Brooke to make any advances or flirtations. She tells Brooke in no uncertain terms that she won't tolerate any attempt to win Ridge back, especially not through a seductive fashion show appearance. Brooke is taken aback, not just by Taylor's words but by the sheer force with which she's delivering them. This is not the conversation she expected to have, and her mind races as she tries to process Taylor's demand. But what shocks Brooke even more is the realization that the door to the dressing room has been locked from the outside, and there is no easy way to escape. The heavy music from the fashion show outside drowns out any potential calls for help, and neither woman has their phone with them. The situation goes from bad to worse when Taylor suddenly doubles over in pain. She gasps for air, clutching her chest as her face contorts with distress. Brooke, panicked, realizes that Taylor is having a heart attack. Time seems to freeze as Brooke scrambles to help, desperately trying to keep Taylor conscious. But it's clear that Taylor's condition is deteriorating rapidly, and Brooke is faced with a terrifying choice: either find a way to get help or watch Taylor die right in front of her. Brooke is frantic. She tries to shake Taylor, hoping to snap her out of the escalating crisis. But the locked door and the absence of any means to communicate with the outside world make everything seem impossible. She pleads with Taylor, urging her to stay awake, but it's clear that Taylor is slipping away. Brooke knows that if she doesn't get help soon, it may be too late. Meanwhile, back at the fashion show, Ridge and Katie have both noticed that Brooke hasn't appeared yet, and the unease is palpable. Ridge, sensing that something isn't right, urges Katie to help him search for Brooke. The two of them begin to search the building, growing more worried with every passing minute. Ridge's mind races. Where could Brooke be? Why hasn't she come out yet? As the tension builds, Ridge and Katie finally make their way backstage, where they discover the locked dressing room. Ridge, desperate and determined, tries the door, and to his relief, it opens. What they find inside shocks them. Brooke is on her knees beside Taylor, her hands trembling as she tries to keep Taylor conscious. Ridge's heart drops as he takes in the scene. Taylor is unconscious, and Brooke is in tears, unable to save her. Without a second thought, Ridge scoops Taylor up in his arms, his face filled with concern and fear. He rushes her to the nearest hospital, his mind consumed with worry. As they speed toward the hospital, Ridge can't help but think about the weight of the situation. His emotions are conflicted as he tries to save Taylor's life, but he's also aware of the consequences of what's just happened. His heart aches for Taylor, but it also aches for Brooke, who is clearly struggling with her emotions and her failed attempts to win back Ridge. Back at the hospital, the doctors work quickly to stabilize Taylor, but the uncertainty of her condition hangs heavy in the air. Ridge waits anxiously, pacing the hospital corridor as he waits for news. Brooke, left behind at the scene of the crisis, is consumed by guilt and frustration. Her plans to win back Ridge have fallen apart, and now she is left to question everything. Her actions have led to this disaster, and she can't help but feel responsible. As the hours drag on, Ridge's worry deepens. He's torn between his concern for Taylor and his own feelings for Brooke. He can't ignore the past they share, but he also can't ignore the woman who is currently fighting for her life. The emotional toll of the night's events weighs heavily on Ridge, and he's left to wonder what will happen next. Will Taylor survive? And if she does, how will this experience affect their relationship? Brooke, on the other hand, is left to reflect on the choices she's made. The realization that her plans to seduce Ridge with her dress have failed is devastating. But it's the life and death situation with Taylor that has shaken her to her core. She is left questioning not just her actions, but her entire relationship with Ridge. What does this mean for her future? Is there any hope for reconciliation, or has this disaster irreparably changed everything? As the drama unfolds, the stakes continue to rise. Ridge must now face the emotional aftermath of the night's events, and Brooke must confront the reality of her failed attempts to win Ridge back. The love triangle between these three characters is far from over, and the tension is only getting started. Will Ridge remain loyal to Taylor, or will Brooke's influence pull him back into her orbit? The answers lie in the drama that continues to unfold on The Bold and the Beautiful. Next, we're diving deep into one of the most emotionally charged and complex storylines to hit The Bold and the Beautiful in recent memory, Liam Spencer's dramatic brush with mortality. But in a twist, we'll be examining this tale from a brand new angle, starting at the end of the saga and peeling back the layers, all while breathing new life and intrigue into each detail. Get ready for a roller coaster of reimagined perspectives, creative expansion, and fresh analysis. A shadow of miracles, echoes of Forrester. Let's begin where the emotional crescendo now resonates. Viewers can't help but draw parallels between Liam Spencer's ordeal and the unforgettable saga of Forrester. Eric's journey, once steeped in doom and despair, ultimately saw a miraculous turnaround thanks to Finn's relentless search for experimental treatments. This piece of B&B history doesn't just set the stage for hope, it breathes it into every scene Liam endures. Fans dissect every moment, theorizing that perhaps history is destined to repeat itself. Could Finn, with his medical prowess and deep empathy, be on the verge of uncovering yet another groundbreaking cure? Or, in a more dramatic twist, could another long-lost character step forward with a secret remedy or a previously unheard-of clinical trial? Eric's resurrection from the edge brought about a wave of relief and jubilation in the Forrester family. Might Liam's fate inspire similar collective joy, or will it shatter long-standing relationships forever? Some even speculate that the soap might blend the miraculous with the tragic, perhaps creating a bittersweet outcome where Liam's legacy endures through the lives he's touched, rather than a simple miraculous recovery. Fans' divided hopes: will Liam survive? As social media buzzes with speculation, it's clear that B&B viewers are deeply invested in Liam's story. Some fans fear that the show might actually eliminate Liam, ending Scott Clifton's tenure in a blaze of heartbreak. Others, recalling past plotlines, predict a last-minute miracle, perhaps an undiscovered treatment, or even a controversial medical risk taken out of desperation. The tension between hope and dread keeps fans glued to their screens, dissecting every nuance and foreshadowing. Many in the audience point to contractual rumors swirling around Scott Clifton, teasers of renewals, whispers of expiration. In soap opera tradition, an actor's contract status sometimes signals a character's fate, but in the unpredictable world of B&B, nothing is ever certain. Will the writers take the bold step of removing a pivotal character, or is this emotional spectacle merely a clever ruse to reinvigorate Liam's narrative? The stakes, both on-screen and behind the scenes, have never felt higher. The puzzle of Liam's story: is the end near? Turning our focus to the emotional turmoil experienced by Liam, we see a man torn between acceptance and denial. In scenes laced with desperation and defiance, Liam outright refuses to acknowledge his death sentence, clinging instead to dreams of scientific breakthroughs and the hope of seeing his daughters grow up. It's a portrait of a father's love, amplified by modern anxieties about mortality and legacy. Steffi Forrester, herself a symbol of resilience, is caught between sorrow for Liam and steadfast support for her new life with Finn. She weeps with empathy, torn by Liam's refusal to surrender, and yet must maintain a sense of stability for her own family. Finn, meanwhile, stands as both a doctor and a stepfather, striving to balance clinical objectivity with his personal investment in the family's well-being. This dynamic triangle is further enriched by the presence of Dr. Grace Buckingham and Dr. Bridget Forrester, both respected within the neuro team. Their involvement suggests layers of medical intrigue, perhaps refusing to accept the limits of current technology, or considering the moral implications of experimental medicine. Their debates could echo real-world concerns about hope versus false hope, ethical dilemmas in end-of-life care, and the bittersweet victories sometimes found on the cutting edge of neuro-oncology. Liam's refusal to fade away: the power of denial. Liam's journey is as much psychological as it is physical. Even as his fate appears grim, his mind traverses every possible scenario. He becomes obsessed with alternative treatments, scouring the internet and medical journals, reaching out to global experts, even contacting rare disease foundations. In doing so, Liam becomes a beacon of stubborn hope, inspiring others to question whether medicine has truly exhausted all options. Within the Spencer household, his daughters remain unaware of the severity of his condition. Scenes show Liam recording heartfelt videos and writing letters, preparing for every possible outcome while refusing to let go. The emotional complexity is heightened by moments where he almost tells them the truth, only to pull back, overwhelmed by the thought of shattering their innocence. These poignant beats fill the air with raw authenticity, forcing viewers to question what they might do if faced with the same devastating news. The undercurrents of soap opera casting, the actor's dilemma. Delving further into the subplot, speculation abounds regarding Scott Clifton's future. The recurring theme of being on the back burner is expanded. Perhaps Liam's lack of screen time is more than narrative neglect, it could be indicative of a strategic pivot for both the character and the actor. Has the show sidelined Liam to make room for new stories, or is Clifton himself exploring broader horizons? What if Liam's existential crisis is inspired by real-world shifts, perhaps Scott Clifton's desire for different creative challenges, a spin-off, or even a return to the stage? In this reimagined scenario, Liam's reckoning is not just with death but with reinvention. The show-within-a-show element becomes a meta-narrative, a reflection on how soap operas must continually adapt, just as their characters do, to remain relevant and resonant. Revisiting the love triangle, is the past truly past? While the classic Steffi-Liam-Hope triangle once dominated storylines, the new order finds each character on a separate path. Hope Logan, portrayed as having finally moved on, occasionally senses the tremors of the past. She experiences guilt and longing, unsure if she truly has closure. Steffi, for her part, is resolute in her commitment to Finn, but the echoes of her history with Liam can't be silenced so easily. What if Hope and Steffi find themselves unexpectedly united, not as rivals, but as mutual sources of strength during Liam's crisis? Perhaps, in an ironic twist, Liam's illness brings about a healing of old wounds. The drama shifts from romantic competition to genuine compassion and forgiveness, exploring new dimensions of each woman's character. Could this be the storyline's real miracle, a redefining of family and loyalty, transcending old rivalries? The promise of tomorrow, what comes next? As we close this reimagined journey, the ultimate question remains: what will the future hold for Liam Spencer, his family, and the sprawling world of the bold and the beautiful? Whether the writers choose tragedy, triumph, or an artful balance of both, one truth endures: the show thrives on evolution. Perhaps the saga of Liam Spencer, enriched with new complications and deeper explorations of love, loss, and perseverance, is just the catalyst needed to propel B&B into its next era. For now, we can only wait, speculate, and cherish every twist and turn, knowing that, in soap operas as in life, the story is never truly over. Next, the episode leaves us reeling with Steffi's life being forever changed by a simple yet shattering text message from her husband, Finn. The dire message conveyed an agonizing reality: scans have exposed an inoperable tumor in Liam's brain. This revelation is not only medically devastating but plunges the Forrester family, and viewers, into a storm of uncertainty. The gravity of this medical bombshell triggers a ripple effect for every character connected to Liam, especially Steffi and her daughter, Kelly. Finn's clinical confirmation of Liam's terminal diagnosis is a poignant moment, brimming with silent anguish and professional stoicism. His struggle to remain composed, torn between his Hippocratic oath and his love for Steffi, adds a layer of complexity rarely seen on daytime television. Doctors in soap operas are often painted as miracle workers, but here, Finn is powerless, forced to watch the fabric of his family unravel before his eyes. A closer look at Steffi's emotional collapse. Steffi's reaction is a masterclass in subtle devastation. She has to put on a brave face for Kelly, who is blissfully unaware of the chaos looming just beyond her bedroom door. As she tries to shield her daughter, Steffi's internal struggle is evident. Should she tell Kelly the truth and risk shattering her innocence, or maintain the facade of normalcy as long as possible? This moment also explores the psychological impact on children facing a parent's terminal illness. A topic seldom broached in daytime drama. The show's writers have the opportunity to depict how families process grief differently and how children's resilience is tested in the face of impending loss. Defiance against the odds. Before the devastating text arrives, there's a fleeting moment of hope and rebellion. Against all medical advice, Liam rips out his 4 and stumbles determinately to the cliff house, ignoring the throbbing pain in his head and the pleas of his medical team. His goal is clear: to fulfill a promise to Kelly for their much-anticipated daddy-daughter dance. This scene is a testament to Liam's love for his daughter and his stubborn refusal to let illness define his last days. The image of a weakened Liam, fighting against his own limitations just to share a few precious moments with Kelly, is both heartbreaking and uplifting. In these small acts of courage, Liam epitomizes the lengths a parent will go for their child, reminding viewers of the fierce, unspoken bonds that anchor families during their darkest moments. The dance that never was. The dance itself becomes a powerful metaphor for life's unpredictability. Liam arrives only to find he's too late. The official event is over, but Kelly, in her innocence, welcomes him home with open arms. The living room, transformed by their laughter and music, turns into a sanctuary where time momentarily stands still. Steffi, watching from the sidelines, experiences a bittersweet mix of relief, pride, and heartbreak. Though the world outside is collapsing, in this moment, the Forrester family finds solace in togetherness. The writers skillfully use this scene to highlight the importance of little moments, those fragments of joy that become lifelines in times of crisis. Medical mayhem and emotional support. Rewinding further, we recount the frenetic events that brought Liam and Steffi to this critical juncture. After discovering Liam unconscious and bleeding on Dollar Bill's doorstep, Steffi's swift action becomes the talk of Los Angeles. The drama intensifies as she races him to the emergency room, risking her own composure in the process. The hospital scenes are crackling with tension. Veteran doctors Grace Buckingham, Bridget, and Finn join forces as Liam's condition fluctuates between life and death. This star-studded medical dream team is a new twist for the show, reminiscent of high-stakes hospital dramas. Fans are treated to a rare glimpse of Bridget's surgical prowess and Grace's clinical instincts, showcasing the professionalism and personal stakes that drive these characters.